The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Hoquiam Fire Department, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 36509. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation. Starting just under the front bumper on the passenger and driver side, you'll find open-ended tow hooks attached to the frame rail. As we move up onto the face of the bumper extension, you'll find dual air horns on the passenger and driver side. Located directly in the center, you'll find recessed your electronic siren PA speaker. As we move up onto the bumper extension on the passenger side, you'll find your fire bell. Just inside of that location in the center is where you'll find the tubbed hose storage location with a swivel discharge. Moving to the driver's side, you'll find your mechanical siren top mount. And as we move to the cab itself, on the outer edge, you'll find a clearance marker light and turn indicator. Just inside that location, headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. Just up from that, emergency warning lights forward facing. There are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. And on the outer edges, you'll find your mirror, which houses a flat and convex mirror. Let's move up to the brow of the apparatus where you'll find your clearance lights. And then also just on top of that location, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. Moving up onto the very top above the floodlight is where you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of the items that we just talked about. First angle here of the front bumper, where you'll also find on the side a side-facing emergency warning light. Swivel discharge for your front discharge, foam capable. As we move around to the opposite side, same thing. Bumper extension, side-facing emergency warning light. General view here of the next set of images, full view of the vehicle. As we move now just to the cab section, let's take a look at the body. We'll move around to the rear of the apparatus. Move up onto the top of the apparatus. Then we'll take a full view of the passenger side. And then the cab and body section are next. Let's go ahead and get started on the driver's side. First, entering into the driver's space, affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information. Just in the stepwell is where you're going to find air inlet and also the shoreline inlet 20 amp plug. Here's the warning placard indication on the door panel, door lock latch, window control, and a grab handle. As we move inside, you'll find the battery charger located just at the base of the driver's seat. When plugged into shoreline power, this will become active, indicating the battery status. At about the right ankle of the operator, you'll find this yellow placard indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, and cold tire inflation. It also has the VIN number, all of the components, fluid capacities, fluid capacity types, and amounts. Let's move to about the left knee of the operator. We'll find the master battery disconnect and also your engine, transmission, ABS, J1939 diagnostic port. As we move downward from that location, you'll find some switches here and indicators. First, ABS diagnostics. Next to that, DPF regen, engine diagnostic information, and a regen inhibit switch. As we move to the dash cluster, on the left, you'll find your ignition and start switch. Just inside of that, on the right, you'll find a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. Engage and disengage all emergency lights with one switch. Also, headlight switch, panel switch, a light to brighten lights within preview of the operator. On the opposite side of the column, you'll find your OK to engage the high idle indicator and switch. Let's move up to the dash cluster, where you'll find the transmission temp, oil pressure, DEF, and water temp. On the opposite side, front and rear air, fuel, and volts. Directly in the center, tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic engine information will display above and below the speedometer. Let's move just to the right of the operator's location. And let's start at the very top section with a display monitor for your backup camera. As we move just down from that, we've got some switches located here. First, engine brake on and off, a setting switch for low, medium, and high, load manager, off-road traction, and mirror heat. Just down from this location is where we're going to find our indicator for stationary OK to pump and roll, your water pump switch, and foam pump switch. Just down from that, yellow diamond, pull to apply our system parking brake, and push to release. Allison transmission pad, push button, digital readout, informational note, pump in neutral, and also some caution information regarding disengaging the retarder when on wet or slippery surfaces. Mirror control for flat and convex mirror, electronic siren, mechanical siren, and siren brake push buttons. Just to the right, we're going to find climate control, heat, air conditioning, and defrost. Also a few more switches here regarding air horn, electronic siren, and mechanical siren. Let's move from this location to the dash area where you'll find a few red and white candy cane labels. These are indicating spare wire behind that area. Radio mount located here in the center. As we look overhead, push on and off white or red lens lights, and then also this yellow placard indicating the height of the vehicle, 10 feet 0 inches, length 32 feet 4.875 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 46,500 pounds. We also have an emergency master switch, a switch between air horn and electric horn, and then also a high beam flash. Additional switch panel for front scene light, driver side, passenger side scene, and rear scene, and also perimeter lighting. As you can see in this switch with the perimeter lighting, when the switch has been activated, the green light will illuminate within the switch, indicating that it is on. Let's move just to the right of this location where you'll find your traffic advisor. And then lastly at the top, we're going to find a digital readout for pump pressure, water tank level indicator, and foam tank level indicator. In the center, seatbelt information, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, green in the seat and belted. A red, do not move your apparatus if the light is flashing, indicating you may have a compartment door open. As we move behind the driver's seat, you'll find your wireless connection and also manual handle for tilting the cab. As we move to the exterior, TAC4 suspension for your front end, also a push button combination lock to get access inside the cab. Alcoa wheels, Goodyear tires. As we move to the rear section here, this is directly behind the driver's seat. We have an additional storage location here, adjustable shelf LED lighting. Let's move into the crew cab area. First, let's start with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, your door lock, latch, and also a grab handle and window control. Your truck has two forward-facing seats at the very rear wall. They do house SCBAs in the backrest. Also an additional SCBA located here on the driver's side, and then also compartment in the front section, roll-up compartment door, LED lighting, and also a shelf inside. As we move to the center section, lift and turn latch gains you access to the rear section of the engine, where you'll be able to conduct your daily checks for oil and transmission through that door. General view here of the rear of the apparatus. You can see the two forward-facing SCBA seats, and then on the outer edges, additional pack locations. Overhead, once again, push on and off white or red lens lights, and then also your headsets. As we move to the exterior, vehicle is a puck configuration. Let's move to the very top section where you'll find your crosslays located across the very uppermost portion. There are three located here, crosslay 1, 2, and 3. All three of these are capable of foam. Moving downward into the notch area, you'll find two 2.5-inch discharge locally controlled via ball valve, also gauges, including here a pressure warning regarding caps may be under pressure, be cautious when opening them. In the very center, Pierce logo, American flag eagle, large diameter pump inlet. As we move up to the top, we have a warning regarding entanglement hazard. Because of those lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement. Also, while climbing onto the vehicle, make sure that you face the vehicle while climbing onto it. At the very bottom, we have a warning placard here regarding foam failure. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Auxiliary inlet here on the driver's side, 2.5-inch ball valve, female inlet, drains across the very bottom section. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups. First, number 1 and number 3, driver's side 2.5-inch discharge, large diameter pump inlet. And then as we move down, you'll find the foam lever. This is for selecting either draft mode or tank mode, and then also the pickup location just beneath that.
Let's go ahead and move to the body now, where we'll talk a little bit about some of the things within the pump panel area. First, roll-up compartment door. This accesses the pump panel. If you've properly engaged from the cab, OK to pump indicator light will be illuminating. To the left, you'll find the green foam level indicator. Also, you'll find a monitor for your camera systems. In the gray module area, you'll find the master intake and master discharge gauge. And then in between the two of those gauges is where you're going to find the test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. Those are currently plugged, and those are utilized for testing purposes. As we move up to the right, you'll find the PCM fault. This is a visual indicator. And then just beneath that, we have an audible speaker. The outer edge of that bezel of the speaker does rotate, so you can brighten or dampen sound. Let's go ahead and move down from this location where you'll find your discharges. You can see the red is indicating that they are foam-capable discharges. Then to the right, you'll find the fire pump primer push to prime. There are instructions for best practices, at least 1,000 RPMs. Also, the real blowout. As we move to the right, you'll find the Pierce pressure throttle governor. In the blue section is your water tank level indicator. Up at the very top, if illuminating, it would be yellow in color. That's the check engine light. Just to the right, you'll find a digital readout for RPMs. And then to the right of that, you'll find a check engine light, red in color if illuminated. Diagnostic information, engine information, I should say. And then also red silence button, allowing you to silence any audible alarms. Menu button is orange, allows you to scroll through the various menu functions. Two options down at the bottom, either pressure control mode or throttle control. That's the blue button. And then a preset button to engage either pressure or throttle positions. Down at the very bottom, right to increase throttle, left to decrease throttle, push in the center for idle. Moving downward from this section is where you're going to find the Husky 3 foam module. That's the red module. Also, you'll find your tank fill and recirculating line and tank to pump. Also, you'll find a flow meter. It's a digital readout regarding the flow of your apparatus, GPM, and also pressure. And then down at the very bottom, you'll find two electric valves. These are for the passenger side 2.5 and also large diameter discharge. To the right, you'll find a driver's side 2.5 inch pre-connect, and then also a passenger side 2.5 inch pre-connect. This is your minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll go over that in just a few moments. Also, you're going to find some primer drain and real discharge drains. As we move further down, you're going to find the cab lift. There's instructions for its operations to raise and also to lower. Just ensure items are secure within the cab before operating. Just to the right, you'll find the warning placard indicating only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment. That's only after proper training. At the very bottom, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we look to that first pan door here, you'll find behind the pan door is an instructions regarding your foam fill operations, horizontal and also a vertical position for its operation. Once again, minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI. On the left, the associated GPM at test pressure. On the right, the associated RPM. We do have a governed speed of 2,100 RPMs. Let's move to the vertical sidewall here, where you'll find the warning placard regarding foam failure, and then also a system instructions for your Husky 3 foam system. Also some switches here for lighting and an air horn switch. Let's go ahead and start now moving through the rest of the compartments. First, as we move to the top section, you'll find when plugged into shoreline power, this becomes activated, which is your battery charger. In the lower section, we have a pull-out tool board, the release mechanism lower right. As we also look into the same compartment, you'll find a breaker box, and then also you'll find a ventilation timer. That's what this torque box is. Then plugged into shoreline power, that will start the recirculating fans for your ventilation system. As we move through the rest of the compartments, let's take a look here. First, starting with the compartment directly over the rear axle is where we're going to find a tool board. There is a release mechanism located on the hinge side. Once it's open, it will lock into position. To restore, just simply lift the latch. Also, just in front of the axle, SCBA bottle storage for 3 bottles, Goodyear tires, Alcoa wheels. As we look to the rear portion of the axle, it's where you're going to find the fill location for our ultra low sulfur diesel. As we move that flap downward, it exposes the blue cap, which is a 8-gallon US DEF tank. Let's move down to the rear compartment, where you'll find at the very top section adjustable shelving. In the lower section, you'll find a pull-out tray. The release mechanism for that tray is located on the lower right. It will lock into position also. General view, all compartment doors are in the open position. Let's go ahead and move around now to the rear section of the apparatus. We'll start in that uppermost left corner here. That's going to be the driver's side rear, where we have long-handled tool storage. As we move downward from this location, you'll find long-handled tool storage and also a 10-foot folding attic ladder. Moving further down, 24-foot extension and 14-foot roof ladder. Moving just to the right of this location, point out a few warnings here regarding entanglement hazard. Because of the lines coming from a loft, we do have this placard. Also, fall, never ride on the vehicle while it is in motion. Let's go ahead and move just to the left under the license plate areas where you're going to find the rear scene lights. That's a recessed switch. And then as we move to the very top section, you'll find a rigid hose bed cover and then also a backup camera, which is recessed. Driver's side 2.5-inch pre-connect. And then as we move to the other side, we're going to have the passenger side 2.5-inch pre-connect. Let's go back to the center area. We had some warning placards. Once again, entanglement hazard. As we move to the right, an additional entanglement hazard. Backup camera located in the center and traffic advisor, which are both recessed. As we move to the lower section, we have a fall injury, never ride on the vehicle while it is in motion. And then just to the right, an additional warning placard regarding when you're climbing onto the apparatus. It's always advised to face the apparatus while climbing onto it. As we move to the rear compartment, you're going to find your booster line or red line that's located in this compartment. Also a push rewind and then also manual control just underneath for rewind. Just above that, you'll find a pull-out tray. Once again, that release located on the right side. As we move to the right side of the vehicle, you'll find a hose bed lights recessed switch. That's just over the top of the brake, turn, and reverse light. We're now to the cab. We do have some warning placards here. This is a non-walking surface, and that's why we have these warning placards here. Let's move toward the dunnage area, where you'll find your master stream device located in the right side front area. And then as we move just to the right of that location, we're going to find your Husky 3 foam system hydraulic reservoir. The fill is just down at the lower portion of that. As we move once again, we have yellow diamonds marking the area of the walking surface for personnel and safety. We have hatch compartments, 2 on the passenger side and 2 on the driver's side. Each of those compartments have LED lighting and also dry deck material inside those compartments. We do have top access for water fill and also foam fill without having to open the entire hose bed cover. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of those things now. First, let's start with the water and foam. First, this is your foam fill. We do have a warning placard here regarding foam failure. Don't mix different brands or consistencies of foam. Just to the side of that one is going to be the top fill for your water tank. Let's go ahead and move from the top section down to the passenger side of the vehicle. At the rear, 2 adjustable shelves, ventilation within the compartment, that's forced ventilation, and then also a pull-out tray. We do have a shoreline outlet here that's active when plugged into shoreline power. Tray is going to be the release located on the lower right. Once again, it locks into position. Just over the axle, SCBA bottle storage here and also oxygen bottle storage. We do have retaining straps on those bottle storage locations. As we move down, you'll find once again Alcoa wheel and Goodyear tire. I would like to point out as we move just forward to this location, this is the oxygen bottle in the upper right corner. Also, as we move just beneath the turn indicator lamp midsection, this is a warning placard. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist. While running your apparatus, please be cautious where you park your vehicle. Also, we'll look to this compartment. We have a pull-out tray vertical and then also some pull-out trays and also a pull-out and tilt downward. And this compartment also has a shoreline outlet. Once again, plugged into shoreline power, that outlet becomes active. Here's a demonstration with those in the outward or most open position. And then let's go ahead and move to the forward section. This is your Crosslay Netting across this side, same configuration you have on the driver's side. Number 1, number 2, and number 3 Crosslay, all foam capable. As we move down to the notch, I'd like to point out some warning placards here. We have when climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle, fall hazard, and also entanglement hazard, because those lines from aloft, there's the possibility of entanglement. As we move down, the Pierce American Flag Eagle, this is your passenger side large diameter inlet. Just to the right, we have a warning regarding pressure hazard. Because these valves are electric on this side, they are required to have an override that's located behind the panel, and that's for the 2.5 inch. Also, as we move down, this is a 2.5 inch auxiliary inlet. It is a female coupling, locally controlled via ball valve. Foam fill operation or drain, and then just to the right, large diameter discharge. It is also an electric valve, therefore the cutout here recessed behind the panel is for manual operation. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups. First, we'll start with some of those warning labels that we just talked about. Then let's go ahead and take a look at a close-up here, pointing out the override for the 2.5 inch number 2 passenger side discharge. It's the cutout behind the panel. Passenger side auxiliary inlet, locally controlled via a ball valve. As we move to the right, in the upper right, you'll find the red override. That's because the large diameter is an electric valve also. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rear cab, where we do have adjustable lights on the rear section of the cab wall, and then also LED water tank level indicators. As we move inside the rear section of the cab, door lock and latch, and also window control. Just inside, we're going to find an EMS compartment, roll-up compartment door, adjustable shelves, and LED lighting. On the roof area, we'll find your air conditioning unit and also push on and off white or red lens lights. Let's go ahead and move to the exterior. D-handle gains us access directly behind the officer seat for an additional storage location. Adjustable shelving in this area also. As we move to the front axle, TAC4 suspension, Goodyear tires, and Alcoa wheels, and a visual sight gauge for the center hub. Also, the push-button digital door lock. And then as we move inside to the cab of the officer space, affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, electric windows, grab handle, door lock, and also a latch. Let's go ahead and look inside in the front section of the dash, where we have a key box. And then just under that key box, you'll find the lanyard for your fire bell. And just to the right side, you'll find the A-pillar is the location where you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. As we move now just to the left of the officer seat, you'll find a barrel style and also USB charging outlets. As we move overhead, let's start on a couple of the far right side with a storage location or future location for additional switches. As we move just to the left or toward the center of the apparatus, we'll find switches for scene lights and then also perimeter lighting. Moving further to the left, we're going to find the siren control and PA speaker system module. And then further to the left, you'll find your SETCOM. This is for your wireless headset. The next set of images are going to be for your convenience, just for training purposes. These are going to be with all of your compartments in the open position and cab upright, so that you can access the chassis and engine area, and then underneath the vehicle also. Congratulations on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 36509. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.